Hello, hello. Hi, I already see waves. Welcome to the open studio. I'm going to switch the camera right now. Hi, everybody. I'm going to give folks just a few seconds to come back in here. Hi, I see a lot of waves. It's really wonderful to have you all here, to choose to spend your time with me in my studio. I know I was just watching the previous artist, the wonderful, fabulous Catherine Freshly, so I know there are a lot of folks who are still there and they're switching over to my live, so I just want to welcome everybody in here. I want to tell you that I don't have an awesome team like she does, so I'm a one-woman band, and please bear with me. I'm just learning the ropes with all my camera skills and all that. I will be checking the comments as much as I can, but I will also be turning around the camera so that we're not just looking at my face, but we're also looking at the paintings. So if I don't get to your question or your comment immediately, please bear with me. I'll scroll through them. I'll try not to shake my tripod while I'm doing that. Can I have a yes or a wave right now telling me that you can hear me well? Because I have this new fancy mic rig. Just want to make sure you can hear me. So just like an emoji or maybe a comment, tell me that you can hear me. Anyhow, thank you so much. I see, okay, it sounds like everybody else can hear me. So I think, yes, hi. Hi, Melissa, thank you so much for telling me. Hi, Amy, thank you. Well, alrighty, I'm here, you're here. I'm sure there will be lots of folks who are joining us later, but we might as well start. Again, thank you for coming to my studio. My name is Tatyana Ostapenko. I'm a contemporary figurative painter. I live here in Portland, Oregon. And this is my space. I will show you a little bit more later about it, but I know I can see the names as they're coming in the comments, so I know there are quite a few of you here that know me. But this is a part of the Portland Open Studios, and I would assume there's a lot of folks here who are new to my work that I don't know that I'd like to meet, so I will introduce myself. Tatyana Ostapenko, as you can tell by the name, maybe I'm not a Portland native, just maybe. I have lived half my life in my native country of the Ukraine, and I have lived half my life here in the United States. And I normally start my artist talks with stating that because it is very important, it's crucial. It is the most crucial pivotal point of all my work. And it shows up in all my art. I mean, you saw my username on Instagram, it's post-Soviet art. So a lot of things that I think about and a lot of the subject matter that I paint has a lot to do with the dramatic and incredible changes that happened during my lifetime while I was living in Ukraine, the break of the Soviet Union, the newly independent state, and then the personal change that happened to me moving from one country and one culture and living in the other. Other themes of my work include celebration of resilience and resilience of people who normally perhaps don't get a lot of airtime or don't become subject of history painting, the everyday moments and the courage that it takes to live through them and make through them. And also, history is a really important part of my work, but not the kind of history that we normally think about in terms of, the grand statues and the big battles and commemoration of those really large events. There's a great quote from a wonderful, wonderful intellectual. His last name is Harari, and of course I'm blanking out on the first name. He wrote a very famous book, Sapiens. And he says that history is something that very few people did while everybody else was tilling fields and carrying water buckets. So my work is all about celebrating those who tilled the fields and carried the water buckets while those few privileged made history. And normally they're the ones who make it into the history books, but I want to rewrite that, or at least just a little bit to change that. And you know what? I don't want to be just standing here and talking to you. I will turn the camera around right now and we will walk and look at the walls real quick. And at this point, I won't be able to see your questions. But, oh my God, am I going to have a problem turning around? I don't remember having that problem. Please bear with me. I can do this. I know I can. There we go. I knew I could. Thank you. So I'm very fortunate. I have a relatively large studio space, so I was able to install all the work on the walls, kind of gallery style. It was really fun for me to do. And I think I'm going to start with this small wall here, or rather wall of smaller paintings. The one that I'm showing you right now, it's about 11 by 14 inches, and it is a part of my ongoing series called The Real Strong and Silent Types. And I love the fact that I'm showing you all this small work right now because I would like to talk about a mural project that I have recently completed, that these paintings in particular, I hope my camera skills are not too shaky, that these paintings have become the starting point, the inspiration for. I was very fortunate to be invited to work on a mural, or design rather, my own mural for a project by the Portland Street Art Alliance, and this was recently. And I will show you, which is really funny, right? Because I'm talking about a mural, and here I'm going to show you cards. So some of you who live in Portland might have seen it. These are the postcards that I made from the image of the painting itself, and the mural itself is called the same way as the series, The Real Strong and Silent Types. And the mural is 10 by 18 feet wide, and it was a part of the Ladies Up initiative by the Portland Street Art Alliance that gave, I think there were 6 or 7 of us. We all had our separate walls to paint, and everybody was a female identifying artist. There are not that many female artists in general in the street art scene, so they're making an effort to make a change for that. And it was a really fantastic opportunity for me to do exactly that, what I started talking about. I don't think that I give voice to the voiceless. However, I really like bringing to attention people who normally don't get the kind of attention that they deserve, perhaps, and also not the ones who get a huge wall, and especially in Portland, because as you can see, the subject matter are older women, and older women in most Western cultures become invisible after a certain age, which is an atrocious shame, if you ask me. And I will do anything I can in my art practice to try to correct that. But also, the country that I am from is even more notorious for that. There are these like stages of age of women, you know, almost the classical child, mother, crone type of deal. And women who are this age, who are in their elder years now, have lived such tremendously traumatic lives, especially as women. I mean, a lot of them have lived through World War II that was fought on the soil of the country that they're from. And not just the war itself, but the changes and the ability to carry through the resilience of these people is awe-inspiring, and I think it should be celebrated more. So hence an 18-foot mural here in Portland. And we do have a sizable Russian-speaking post-Soviet population here in Portland that I don't think has a lot of visibility despite its size. So I wanted to add another opportunity for the diversity and for also recognizing our local communities. So another area that I definitely think about a lot, and I want to switch now again to showing you not my exciting lights, but perhaps let's talk about this gal. She usually gets a lot of questions asked about her. And you know what? This is driving me crazy. I'm going to straighten out the tripod because it's crooked and I don't like that. So the gal in the middle. And please, by the way, I feel like I'm talking a lot and I'm just a one-woman band. I would love to hear any questions that you have. Please feel free to write them in the comments. I have asked for questions in advance, and I can stand in front of this right now. I've asked for questions in advance and I have them in a separate place here. So if I don't hear questions from all of you guys, oh, sorry, garage door. I hope it's not as loud for you as it is for me. And I will be getting to those, but I want to give priority to the questions that are being asked here. So one of the other subjects that I think about frequently and is definitely the core subject of my work is personal histories, family archive, and transgenerational memory. I'm gonna wait for the garage door. Okay, much better. So personal histories, family archives, and transgenerational memory. I think especially because I had grown up in a place that no longer exists. I mean, I was born and raised in Soviet Union, and now suddenly that place is no more. However, people who have lived through it and people who are marked by a very specific type of place that it was are still there and adapting to this dramatic change and a very tumultuous change that I have lived through in the 1990s in Ukraine. And I think the reason why I keep coming back to that subject matter, not only because I believe in making art from a lived experience, from something that is truly embedded in my body, in my psyche, in my emotions, something that I have domain over, but also because I think that time of transition and the complete lack of certainty and knowing what the future can bring is an apt entry point and a metaphor for perhaps the times that we're also living through here in the United States, or in a larger sense in the world also. So it's the subjects of uncertainty and at times completely opposing ideas that are in conflict yet cannot exist without each other that fuel my work always. So I will let you look at her for just a second on the table. There she is. I just want to check if I missed any questions that are coming in right now. I just have a lot of yeses and waves. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. Really appreciate it. So, and Alexandria is saying, thank you for the intent of your work. It is important, also appreciated. Thank you so much, Alexandria. I appreciate you saying that. Wonderful. So thank you guys so much. I can show you more of the individual work, or I can continue answering questions, or rather, I can answer questions that have come in through on my email subscribers list, or I ask questions in my stories here on Instagram, so I can definitely go to those right now. I think a thing that's worth mentioning, because I often get this question, so let's just kind of dive right in. My work has a lot to do with, not a lot to do, my work owes a lot to photography, and especially street photography. This kind of tying back to that family archive. I love working with images. I do work with photographic images for my painting work. But I never use Magnum photographers, fabulous, fantastic, perfectly lit work of art type of photography. I really enjoy haphazard, unpredictable, maybe poorly lit, poorly exposed, strangely composed amateur photography, because there's so much texture and there's so much more, and I don't want to use the word realness and authenticity, because a snapshot is a snapshot. It can lie about reality just as much as a painting can, or enhance or portray it a certain way. But the spirit of street photography is definitely something that is very important to me. And I'm checking the questions. I think we're good on questions. And I know that I've talked about the ideas of aging and visibility of older women. I feel like I didn't stay enough on this wall. So maybe I can just go through, I'm making this up as I go, so I've never done quite a studio visit this way with so many folks watching. This is one of my favorite paintings. This is the one that normally gets a pretty enthusiastic and fun reaction. It's called Jolly Swing. There was a song when I was a kid that was called that. And I just love them. I want to show other ways of being, and especially for women that are from my part of the world. There's so much prescriptive way of being and expected way of aging, or behaviors that are appropriate or not appropriate for a certain age at a certain time, and I resent that deeply. I think a lot of times I talk about my curiosity and interest about tradition. They're fascinating. I love researching folk traditions from the place that I'm from, yet at the same time I don't choose to fully embrace just everything from my heritage or my culture. I think that that is what can be done in art, perhaps even better, or in literature, but as artists in general, we're the ones to probe the difficult questions. And I'm always interested in that area of conflict, where you can love something intensely, yet at the same time see its faults. You can criticize something at the same time as feeling longing or perhaps even nostalgia for something that, you know, has a lot of problematic qualities. So that's a lot, again, what these paintings are about, the exploration of that. So I'm going to show you a few more of these gals. And again, if you see me, I'm trying to do it as smoothly as possible by holding this tripod. But if there's a painting that you see in particular that you'd like to know more about, if you want to ask a question, make a comment, anything and everything goes. I often get a question whether these are portraits. And because of how I source my images and how I think about them, I don't necessarily think about them as portraits. I think about them as collective images that represent a certain time, place, and perhaps... Oh, hi, Brian! Hi. Good to have you here. As you can tell, there's a variety of way that I work. Some of these paintings tend more toward, you know, kind of classical realism, and some tend toward greater degree of abstraction. I mean, every painting is an abstraction, right? However, can I speak about my materials? Marilyn, that is a perfect question, because I was just going to move toward my work area. That is not the entire gallery space that I'm so fortunate to have inside my studio. But I'm going to move here and hopefully set it up in a way that I don't knock it over. Sorry about that. Is there a story behind the woman standing on the table? The story behind the woman standing on the table. There's no particular story about her personally. That painting is a combination of a few images. It is based on a collage. And the folks sitting around the table, the older generation, they're actually, it's a family gathering outside, celebration of some sort. And it's from my friend's family archive. This is a friend of mine who I've known since I was 8 years old. She still lives in Ukraine. And she had an uncle who was an avid amateur photographer and who really didn't care about how good his pictures were or not. He just snapped away. And I grew up in a family of a very serious and kind of uptight amateur photographer who just had to light meter everything and make pictures perfect. So all of my pictures from my childhood really look more like studio shots, and they don't excite me nearly as much as her usually slightly intoxicated at the moment of taking pictures uncle's pictures. So they're way more fun. And the gal who is standing on the table, she just came to me some way of the internet. The internets provide, there's a lot of interesting imagery there. And that painting is definitely about the abrupt transition, the abrupt changes, and the clash of the old and the new, but also about the family histories and about the transgenerational experience that one does ever go away. You know, history is never really history, right? It is always with us. It's in our bones. So let me check real quick. Thank you for that question so much. So I wanted to show you this one, and since I want to answer Marilyn's question. This painting is made with acrylics, and the things that you've seen so far on my walls are both acrylic and oil. I use them pretty much in equal measure. However, with something like this, it's easier for me to work with acrylics because of I wanted to create very runny, very thin textures, and I think I'm going to zoom in without trying to shake it. So these beautiful transparencies, they can be created with oils. However, I really, really don't like the solvents, and there's just not really easy and good way to create thin and pouring runny paint consistencies with oil, at least not in my experience. I know there are a lot of artists here. If you know of the way that doesn't make me faint, please let me know. And I think this is also a really fun time for me to talk about my favorite tools. I really loved seeing Catherine's studio visit just a second ago, the gal who was before me, and she showed her brushes and her Stay Wet palette. I love using that too. But there's very little brush work in this painting. Even if there is, there's no brush mark per se like you might have seen in other ones. This is one of my favorite tools. I just want to make sure I'm showing it to you in a way that you can tell what it is. It's a squeegee. It's basically made out of this rubber silicone type of stuff, like some silicone molds that they make now for baking. It's flexible, but it's rigid, so it's not like a squeegee for washing your shower glass door. It's much more firm. And what it allows me to do, you can see this mark here, this kind of swoosh mark, or this swoosh mark. It requires me to work very fast, which is very easy because I work very fast and very aggressively when I'm painting. But when applying a wet layer of paint, then I can draw and remove paint to create these marks. And what I really love about it is that there's a combination of unpredictability, which is why painting is just delicious like that. It surprises you. You don't know. Like, I can control my brush, I can control my paint, I can paint things the way they look, but I'm not so interested in that. I am interested in the process of discovery. I'm interested in my medium leading me, and it's like a dance. You know, if you have a very good partner who leads very well, it's just amazing. So I treat my paint as a really skilled dance partner who will lead me on this process of discovery much better than something that I just make up in my head and then try to execute. For me, it's better. That's my process. I hope I didn't hit the mic. I'm so sorry. Anyway, also another favorite, I don't have one around. I can't believe I don't have one around. I love using rags. So a lot of the pull-through areas like this that you see are created just using an old t-shirt that you apply just so, and the paint can run through. And then also sometimes I spray the canvas, as you can see these white running lines here. I hope you can see. I don't know how much you can see in the tripod. Let me check. Oh yeah, you can see. Great. So lines like that are created by, I didn't even do it strategically. I think it just ran on its own. So that's fun. So this is a tool of trade, tool of choice. And then I use palette knives quite a bit, and rags, and brushes, but I really like those types of tools that challenge me to move away from precision and provide me with unexpected, delicious surprises. Okay, I feel like I've been talking so long. I want to scroll back to Marilyn's question and see if any other new ones came in. And by the way, I have no clue what time it is. I need to check. I think we're good in terms of questions. Perfect. So we're going to move back because I promised to answer some questions. Actually, you know what? Sorry about that. So I hope I'm not making you dizzy. So I was also asked a question about my supplies and what kind of paint I use. I'm going to set it up. Maybe you can see. I can do this. Okay, there we go. So this is not a paid plug-in advertisement, I promise. But I really love Am Graham. They're just really delicious buttery oil paints. And I often get asked like what kind of mediums I use. So ashwagandha is not a medium for painting, I promise. But I really like using a bottle like this to apply it to my palette because it's got a dropper. And I mix just Gamsol, which is a odorless mineral spirits made by a local company, Gamblin. Also, this is not a paid post. And some linseed oil, just half and half, that's it. Very simple. I don't use fancy brushes. I really like rags and squeegees, way better. Yeah, so let's move back so that I can get back to my, oh no, I think I showed you my mess. Oh, I have to show you this. I'm sorry, this is exciting to me. I don't know how exciting it is to you, but this is how I am lighting this situation. It's an old rickety stepladder, and I bought the lights. Ooh, sorry about that. There we go. Hi, it's me again. So, I know we've talked about these things. I want to make sure that I get to answer the questions. Oh, I'm almost out of time. I didn't realize that. So we have only 2 more minutes. I did not get to answer any of the questions that I was hoping to get to for the folks who asked me before, but I just want to tell you that I really appreciate you all being here with me. I hope that I didn't talk your heads off. My website is tatyanaostapenko.com. I put it in the comments, and I think it should be there. Maybe I didn't. Sorry about that, but it's my first and last name. It's easy to find. And I am running a special for this. I've never done prints before, but some folks have been interested in buying prints rather than the originals. So their prints are right now 30% off on my website. And again, it's my first and last name.com. What else? Is there anything else is there any like a last minute question, like 1 minute question before I tell you who the next artist is in our studio visit tour? Doesn't look like I have any more new questions. I showed you everything. So the next artist whose studio you should go to next is Allison Rose, and her Instagram name is at Allison_Rose_art. And again, I really appreciate everyone here for being here with me. Thank you so very much. Thank you for coming to my studio. Thank you for tolerating my shaky tripod skills. If you have any questions, or I would love to connect, I would love to chat. If there's anything that you'd like to know or talk about, fellow artists, collectors alike, everyone, I would love to hear from you. All right, well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And you guys should go and check out Allison Rose at Allison_Rose_art. Have a good day. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.